Thanks, Nicole. So I've been teaching elementary computers for the last 18 years, I'm going into my 19th year. And I want to say for the last probably 8 years, I've been introducing coding to my students. And we started with Hour of Code, and we've kind of grown from there. So I see the students once a week for 40 minutes. And from that time, probably the middle trimester, because we go by trimesters, we work on coding. We do a lot with a program called Codable for the early elementary, and then we do code.org and Tinker for the mid-elementary. That's really it.
Great. So when did you, what was your first experience with coding then? Was it like a long time ago when you first became a computers teacher, or was it more recent in the past years, or did you always have like computer science kind of in your life, I guess?
I think I've always had a touch of computer science in my life, but really my first real coding was probably on code.org doing an hour of code. So really that, and I want to say maybe 8 years ago.
Wow, great. Yeah, I was just last week talking to Julia Dweck, and she also was one of the first ones on the code.org train way back like 10 years ago. And so that's really great to hear that, you know, we had so many teachers already on the computer science train even before it became, you know, super popularized in the recent years with STEM and STEAM and all that stuff. So I just love to hear that. And yeah, unfortunately, my audio was actually muted earlier on, so nobody heard your introduction. But basically, once again, Lisa Lang is a pre-K to 4th computers teacher in New Jersey, and we will be writing and coding virtual escape rooms today. So that's pretty much it on my end. I don't know if you have anything else you want to share before we kind of just jump right into kind of continuing your escape room and trying to figure out how to add more clues or more interactions and just more fun to your story.
I just really think that this is something that's going to grab my students' attention and they're going to love it. So I say let's get started.
Great. So I want you to go in and share your screen with us. So that way, basically, everyone can kind of see what your story is and get started with that. Okay, perfect. So Lisa has already created an account on Elementari. She's gone in. She's already started her story. She found some images, added some text. And this one, I guess, is a welcome back to school sort of escape room, I'm guessing. And what she's going to do is she's going to kind of tell me what she wants to add to her escape room and maybe what kind of clues she wants to add. So I'm going to let her kind of take over and kind of explain what she wants her students to get out of this and kind of what the whole purpose of this whole thing is and just what she wants to do with it.
So I think I want to start off by having the teacher saying something to the students to kind of introduce and explain. And my idea was it's kind of like to refresh their memories because it's been a long summer and we're going back to school, and I just want to refresh their vocabulary of different parts of the computer experience. We use Chromebooks, so I kind of geared it a little bit towards Chromebook environment.
Great. I mean, I love Chromebooks. They're nice and inexpensive, to say the least. And I think they're great. So yeah, you want to add a voiceover first to just kind of get kids excited about it. So let's add a voiceover by going to the Sounds tab. And you just click Record Voiceover. And then when you click on it, it's going to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then you can just say whatever you want to say. So.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
So welcome back. Hidden in this classroom are different areas that I want you to find and click on. They're going to bring you to questions that you need to answer. If you answer all 4 questions, You've done great, and we're going to go outside and have a little time on the playground.
Great. Okay, so now you notice that there is a little sound graph. You can kind of preview it. Let's try previewing it to see if you've shared the computer sound. Otherwise, we might have to share that. So,
Okay. So welcome back. Hidden in this classroom, different area.
Awesome. So you'll notice at the top you have a little trim button, and that's if you have like extra white noise, extra noise at the beginning or at the end that you want to just get out, or white, just empty spaces. Sometimes students, might not start right away, or even me, I don't like to start right away. I'm like, is it ready yet? So you can use the trim. So if you click on the trim, you'll notice that there's little draggable things, and you could just kind of drag them wherever you want to trim. And then when you're done trimming, you can click on save. So I think in this case, the top, your beginning will be kind of cut off. So you can bring it all the way to the end. Yeah. So that way, for sure, the beginning sounds okay. Great. So if you want, you could click save to save your trim. And then you want to add a recording name. So you could say welcome, and that'll be great.
And save, right?
Yep. So yeah, now you'll notice that there is a little 1 where the page sound is. And that's basically just saying that this sound exists on your page. But it doesn't mean that the sound is going to play, because we have to code it to play at a certain time. So in order to code, you're going to go to the event graph. And I feel so repetitive when I say this, but I think it's so important because the event graph is where we code. And I already told Lisa a little, but we code by dragging blocks together. And it's called a node-based visual programming environment. And this is used in the real world on professional game development engines. Look up Unreal Engine event graph. You have little blocks that aren't ours, but they get connected in a similar way. I also heard from another teacher that Nintendo Labo also uses a node-based visual programming environment as well. And it's okay because a lot of people think coding is, just science and math and, those type of things. But really, the way that the coding is used on Elementary is very similar to like, what are they called? Those flowcharts. That's what they're called, flowcharts. They're very similar to flowcharts, and those are kind of used everywhere. So the first step is you're going to grab an event. So what event do you want?
On page start?
Yeah, perfect. So just grab that, drag it over. Okay, so here you can always, you'll notice that the vocabulary is similar to all coding language vocabulary. You have event, you have functions, variables. That's all there. So functions is up next. What function do you want? You can scroll down. I think it's somewhere around here. Yeah, so it's
play record sound.
Perfect. You're a rock star.
Just guessing.
Oh, you're so good at this. So yeah, then all you have to do is you just connect them together in order to make them work. Is it working for you, the connection? It was kind of not working for me earlier.
Yeah, no.
Let's see. We just updated the website, so maybe you have to refresh the page. Let's try that. So we did a big website update, and the main thing is now on paid plans, you can upload your own graphics. So that's really cool. Let's try that. Try actually going from, I know it's kind of weird, but try going from right to left in like play record sound. Yeah, try connecting it that way. If it connects, yeah, it connects better. I don't know why it's not connecting very well, the left or right. We'll look into that. So it'll be fixed. It's what happens whenever you make a big update, unfortunately. Sometimes some things that you fix end up breaking other things that were working just fine.
Nature of the beast.
So, yes. So now you can select a sound. Great. And so now when you press preview, it will play the audio recording.
So welcome back. Hidden in this classroom are different areas.
Great.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would be like the beginning, and then you can add your little hidden objects on the page. So you go back to layout, and you can, add your objects that you maybe want kids to click on or interact with. They can interact with objects in multiple ways. The easiest way is by clicking on it, obviously, but you can also create an interaction where an object can be dragged over another object. So there's multiple scenarios that you could kind of create with that. So I don't know what you want to do. Feel
What
free.
would you suggest? What would you suggest, Nicole? Maybe click on the chalk.
Yeah, you can create also like for example, let's say I don't want to add any images onto this page. I want to just use the background image and make it so I can click on different elements on this background image. We can do that by creating a hotspot mask. So let's try making it so, I don't know, when you click on maybe the door, it does something, or when you click on the desk, it does something. So to do that, to make a mask, you go to your shapes, and you're gonna find a shape that looks kind of similar to your door. So in this case, a rectangle would be probably good.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, like that. So obviously you don't want it to be green because that looks terrible. You want to make it invisible. So you want to go to the little teardrop, that. And then this is the opacity. So when you set the opacity to 0, it becomes invisible. This can also be a nice way to introduce what opacity is to kids. When you have, colors, you have RGB, but you also have an A, which is the opacity. So now we have an invisible door or an invisible box on top of the door. And now, I don't know, maybe when you click on it, you can have it squeak. Maybe you can get directed to another page. There's quite a lot of options that you can choose from.
Why don't we have it? Can we squeak it and connect to another page?
Yeah, you can make it squeak and connect to another page. You can also do all sorts of things, like, I don't know, you want to maybe have the teacher say something or have something pop up. But let's just try making it squeak and then go to another page. In order to do that, we need to get a sound, like a door squeaky sound. So to do that, we go to sounds. So either you could record a voiceover or you could just find a sound effect. I think we have a door sound effect somewhere. Search door. Maybe something will pop up. Door closed. Door open. Let's try door open.
That one's good.
Okay, so we get the door squeak. We press the plus sign, adds it to the page. Okay, great. So you'll notice that there's a little black thing that says use the play. Well, it's wrong. It's supposed to be play sound effect block. But use the play sound effect block to play the sound effect. And you'll notice that 1 becomes a 2. So if you click on that, you can see all the sounds on this page if you forget, and you can, delete them if you want. It's just a way to easily see what kind of sounds exist on the page. So we go to the event graph now because we're going to code it and try to figure out what you would have to do.
Well, I think I need an event.
Yes, you need an event.
On click.
Yep, on click. So you could do on click or on click once. Both of them kind of work.
Okay, which is the better one, or does it matter?
So it depends on what you want to do. For if you're going to go to page on click once and on click, it doesn't really matter. But like, for example, if you want to make it squeak, maybe if you do on click, that means every time you click on the door, it's going to squeak. So it could be kind of annoying, but you can make a band out of it. So
All right, so let's go to on click once.
yeah, so on click once means you can only click on it once.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then a function.
Yep, a function.
And play sound effect.
Yep.
See if I go left to right.
Does it work now?
No, right to left worked.
Okay, so we'll look into that. We had to fix another problem, and it's just so much code. Great. Okay, so door open too. So now we are saying on click once, play sound effect, but we're not saying what we're clicking.
So then I need an object.
Yes, you will need an object.
Which was the square, right?
Yes.
And then I connect that to that.
Uh-huh,
Is
great.
that right?
Yep, that's it. So now you're saying when you click on the mask over the door, then it's going to squeak. So the only difficult thing about this is you're not given any visual feedback about what you're supposed to click on because it is a mask. Normally, when you make an object, like for example, the teacher, if you want to make her clickable, then there is a glowing effect. But in escape rooms, it's also kind of fun to make it so you can't really know what you're supposed to click on, because then you have to explore a little bit more and just do a little bit more I spy. Which areas have I not clicked on yet? So let's test it out. And if you don't want to hear yourself, then you can turn the volume to 0. So
Now I can't hear myself.
okay, let's see if the sound works okay. I was having trouble a little bit earlier with some of the sound.
Outside and have a little time on the playground.
Okay, so let's try exiting.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so let's just see if we could preview again and if the sound will pop up. Maybe we might have to go from another page onto this page.
In this classroom are different areas.
Okay, I hear the sound.
Okay.
Do you hear the sound on your side?
I did, yes.
Okay, so it was just a little bit quieter than the previous time when we were hearing the recording. So that's why I wasn't sure. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, great. So if I want to play the sound effect, and maybe after I play the sound effect, I want to go to a different page, then you can use a function to direct the reader to a different page. So
Go to page.
yep, you're going to use go to page. Great. So you would basically have these two functions in sequence. So one right after the other. So that way you can hear the sound and then go to a different page. Otherwise, the sound might cut off while you're moving to the next page.
Okay.
So to do that, you could just connect them together. Great. So go to page, and then you would direct to a specific page now. Perfect. So notice before when we were previewing, we were able to still navigate normally. Generally in an escape room, we want to direct the reader to navigate the way we want them to be navigated. So basically we would have buttons that would direct them to wherever. We don't want to use like the swipey left, swipey right sort of system. So to do that, we can actually lock the page in place so they can't navigate normally. They have to do something. This also means that if you don't code anything to navigate the reader, they will be stuck on that page. So it's also a good way to like teach kids that they have to really design their game properly. So and if you're not familiar, escape rooms are actually a form of video game at the very beginnings. It wasn't what we think of now as, kind of physical escape rooms for team building, but it was originally a point and click game that was like all the way back in like 1988 or something, a text adventure game.
I remember Doom. That was kind of escape roomish.
Yeah, Doom actually got a remaster. Now you can play Doom on the Switch. So yeah, let's try it out. Make sure, let's try it out first, make sure everything works, and then we'll try locking the page.
Okay. So welcome back. Hidden in this classroom are different areas that I want you to find and click on. And they're going to bring you to questions that you need to answer. You answer all 4 questions. You've done great, and we're going to go outside and have a little time on the playground.
So can you click on the door? Try clicking on the door at the bottom. Okay. Yeah. Go back, try clicking on the door at the bottom. Yeah, here.
Oh, sorry. I did hear it.
Okay. Great. So I was able to hear everything okay, and let's try to lock it so it doesn't have the blinking arrow. So normally when you can navigate, you'll have the blinking arrow. This is just so that you'll know that there's a next page. But in this case, we want there not to be like a normal next page. So yeah, go to functions. You're already ahead. You're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Let's go. You're too slow.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
And you need one more because or actually, you could just do lock navigation next page. They could still go back to the previous page. That's fine.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
No.
So you can,
or on page start.
Yeah, that's probably better. So you want to lock it on page start. So
preview again.
Yeah, so just make sure that you can't navigate to the next page like normal. Just testing, debugging, making sure everything works.
Welcome back. Yep. In this okay.
Perfect.
I can't listen again.
Yeah, I always just unconnect. You could just disconnect the play record sound block for now, so you don't have to hear yourself all the time. Yeah, you could just get rid of that connection. Yeah, just delete. Yeah, and there you go. So now you won't have to hear yourself, and then when you're ready, you can connect it back together again. That's what I do often. So I just put like, okay, my recording is off to the side now. It's done. It's ready. Okay, great. So I don't know. What do you want to do next?
I guess bring them to a question.
Yeah, so bring them to a question. Great. So we are already going to page 3 in this case. And then they'll go to a question. So what do you want to happen on this question?
I think I want to voice the question.
Okay.
Voice the answers, or should I voice both?
It's up to you, up to who you're targeting for your kids. I mean, if you're dealing with, like first grade, kindergarten who have maybe difficulties in reading, then maybe having voiceover for kind of everything would be good. But if it's for older kids, up to you.
All right, let's voice the question.
Yeah, so we could just voice the question. So go to event graph. Oh, you already did everything. So you already did lock navigation, play sound effect. Oh, you're on a roll. So he's like, all right. I already got everything done. No need to do anything.
I didn't voice the question.
Okay, so yeah, you can voice the question and then do an on-page start and then get that set up.
Okay, so I have to go back to layout, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I went out there. Which one of these describes a Chromebook? you still with me, Nicole?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just chilling. I'm like, okay.
All right, so I need an event.
Yeah, so you can have a new event. You can use your same event. It's all up to you how you want to organize it. So,
Okay, so
yeah.
maybe I'll just do.
So also you can make your event graph bigger to just make it easier to work on by clicking on the little square thing next to the trash can. So in the top, yeah, here, it goes full screen. And you can also drag the event graph to move to different areas. So that way you can organize things better and make it, easier to read. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are just some tips because sometimes otherwise your code just gets so mangled. It's really hard to debug and see what's going on. So yeah, you can exit out if you want, or you can continue and then add your voiceover to play. So you could just go to your functions and do all that jazz, just like how you did before.
Good, because I was drawing a blank.
Yeah, go up.
Right, play record sound. Okay. Are we testing?
Yeah, you can test it out if you want. I see that you have a show and a hide. So let's see how that works.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was playing. One of these describes
Oh, it's really great. Okay, so your logic is if you choose the wrong answer, then to display try again. Great.
Try again.
Yeah, so one thing that I noticed is if you come from a scratch/code.org Tinker background, you will use the hide and the show block. We also have a block that kind of does both in one, and it's just called fade. So it makes things a little bit easier, especially if you want to fade in multiple elements in sequence, because otherwise what tends to happen, like let's say I have like 3 different characters with 3 different speech bubbles and I want them all to fade in like in sequence, maybe with a voiceover, for example. Normally, if you were to do it like in Scratch or Tinker, those type of Blockly style coding, you would have to declare all the objects with hide at the beginning and then do a show. So that's a lot of blocks. So we try to just cut it all down to half and make it so that you could just use fade. But it does work, obviously, with show and hide, so you could still use those. But it just shows that, kids, you can code the same kind of effect in different ways. So yeah, you can try out the fade in maybe like on page start. You can fade in the text, and then maybe fade in the answers afterwards. So I think fade is at the very top, I believe. I put it at the very top because I think that's the one I use the most. It's the third one. Yeah, great. So you might want to, drag it. So drag your event graph, like the canvas, so that we have some space, because you already have a lot of code. So if you could find like and you can also just drag put your mouse there and then just drag up, kind of, to move. Like that. So that way you can just have more space to play around with. So yeah, what you can do then is, let's say, like what I typically like to do is I like to do, if I have a question, I'll fade in the question, or maybe with a text effect, like a typewriter effect. I like that a lot. And then maybe I'll fade in the buttons afterwards. So that way you don't see all the text at once, and it just adds a little bit more jazz to the slide.
Okay.
So
you can you walk me through that?
Yeah. So we have another function called play text effect. So let's actually try that out for the question. It's, I believe, the first one, play text effect. Okay, great. So you can also just click on the block to add it to the page as well.
Not seeing it.
Yeah, so then go to your fade. Yeah, it got placed in an interesting position. That's fine. So
it's not letting me move it though. Oh, there we go.
I think there's just multiple since
Wow, I clicked a lot. Okay.
No problem. So yeah, let's move it so we have some space. And maybe we want to do on page start. We want to play this text effect. And then fade in the bubbles or the answers.
Okay.
So
should I get rid of hide and show?
Yeah, we can get rid of hide and show. We could just make it a little easier to read.
Oh, no. Okay, it's not liking me today.
No problem. It doesn't like me either, so.
Alright, no, so we're gonna get rid of hide, right?
Yeah, you have to select. Oh, I think it's because right now we have, delete. And then delete that. And let's make it so that our on-page start. So right now we have on-page start, play text effect, and then fade. We want to fade in the button. So we're going to sequence play text effect with the answer buttons. So yeah, let's first actually do one step at a time. So let's do play text effect. We're going to play text effect, and what are we going to do the text effect on? So let's grab the object that we need for that. Yeah.
Which is this one.
Yes. So, great. So yeah, play text effect.
And then, oh, I'm sorry about that.
Great. So play text effect, and you can choose if you want a typewriter effect, which has a sound effect that goes with it, or if you want to do a fade effect, that's just more chill and less noisy. So, and then if you want, you can choose, the speed to kind of match your voiceover. So this will do the text effect on your main question, and then typically we want to have the answers fade in. So to do that, we can just sequence the play text effect with the fade. So play text effect goes first, then we want to code the fade to go after.
Okay.
So you maybe want to put the fade to the right side of the play text effect block. So they're kind of aligned. Yeah, like that. And then just connect the two together. So we like to think of our sequencing and our code kind of going from left to right as a flow, kind of like a flow chart. So left to right, maybe top to bottom, stuff like that. And right now, let's see, we're missing one thing. What are we missing? Can you figure it out?
The bubble?
Yeah, we're missing this bubble, that's for sure. And we want to, let's ignore the bubble for now. We're going to first just do the play text effect, and we need to fade in something.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so let's try fading in the answers. So that way we have some animation for the answer.
So the buttons, right?
Yeah, so you can use the buttons. So you can use the same block, or you can also just grab the blocks again from the object. So you don't need to connect a block to like a billion functions. It's really up to you how you want to do it. But yeah, you can use the same block if you want, and just connect it. And then maybe connect it to the other one as well. Great. So now you can pick a direction for it to fade in. You can maybe fade it in normally, or you can fade it in from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom. You have a couple options. Or to the right, or to the left. Okay, so let's preview it and see what happens. So you want to exit out of full screen, click on preview.
Which one of these describes a Chromebook?
Great. So now our try again, it's not working because we haven't figured out when to fade that in. So basically it would be when you click on the wrong answer, then you want to fade that in. That's how we would do it. So you did it already before, you just did a show, you're just going to do kind of the same thing. So on click, then fade.
Let me go big again.
Yeah, it's a bit small. So
okay, so when they click.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I suggest always, having multiple objects on the page, like multiple. You can go to your objects and then you can grab another button just for organizational purposes. So when you go back to your code, you can just see things better.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, for example, you might want to kind of segment the on-page start, play, text, effect, fade, and the bubbles there in its own little kind of corner, and then have the click event be in its own little corner as well. So that way you can kind of just chunk your code a little bit more.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
But so now I would connect these, right?
Yeah, so first get rid of the 2 lines that you added to your fade, the original ones. Yeah, get rid of these so we can see things better. Yeah, so we don't have lines everywhere. And then, yeah, you could just grab the other button and add it there.
Okay. Can I make them, if I wanted them to fade in one at a time?
Yeah, so you would just get another fade function and then you can sequence it again. So you can have one fade into the right and the other one fade into the left or top to bottom, doesn't really matter.
And can I split like have one fade in and then delay the second fade in, or?
So have one fade in, then wait 3 seconds and then fade the second one in. Yeah, so you can do that as well. You have a wait function. So you can wait between any functions essentially.
So if I go to wait.
Yep. And then you could just put in how many seconds you want to wait before you fade in the second one.
And I would put that up here.
So this is saying I want to fade and wait at the same time. So this would be putting the functions in parallel, and we want to have the functions in sequence. So I always like left to right. So whatever your wait wants to go after, you put it to the right of that function. And if you want it at the same time, then they should kind of be, parallel to each other.
Okay. So now I'm confusing myself here.
Okay. So right now, so you're saying that you want to fade in one button.
Right. So then, fade in button 0.
Then wait. Then fade in, right?
Yep.
So we want each of our functions to be following the other one in a sequence. So to do that, just think of it as your functions from left to right. So play text effect comes first, then fade, then your wait. So put your wait right after your fade. So visually, you can see that it comes after. And you can move the canvas so you have more space. Yeah, you can drag it over. Yeah, that's what I meant by you can drag it over. Yeah, so then you can do it after. And then you want another function, right, after the wait, which is you want to fade in the second bubble.
So I have to add another fade.
You need another fade. Great.
Okay. And I go this way? No.
So first try to connect the first fade and the wait together.
Okay, so that one.
Yeah.
And then I want to get rid of this. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, select the line first that you want to get rid of. Click on the line and not the node. Yeah, and then you can delete the line. Yeah, like that.
And then I want, okay. And where do I connect this goes to here?
So you want to think left to right. So from the left, so we're going to look at the first fade. So it's play text effect, then fade. And then you're going to take the triangle on, yep, and then connect that to what you want to happen next. So what do you want to happen next? Great. Sorry, because it's backward. Yeah, like that. And then you're going to do the same thing. So you're going to wait, and then you're going to fade.
So that way.
Great, you just did 4 functions in sequence. So on page start, you're doing 4 different functions in a sequence. And then you wanted to on click, when you click on the button to fade in the try again. So which button are you supposed to click? That's the wrong answer button. Is it button 1?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna grab another fade function. Yeah, this is why it's at the top. It's very popular, this function. And you're gonna put it, you can probably put it near your on-click event. Yeah, so it doesn't have to travel too far. Yeah, right here. So on-click, I'm gonna fade in. Try maybe the other way, I don't know. Connecting is really strange right now.
Okay.
Okay, and then try, so now you wanna say, when are you gonna fade this in? When you click on button 1, right?
Right.
So you need to connect those 2 blocks together.
Am I wrong there?
So it's the, yep, that triangle, you're gonna connect that to the on click. Yeah, perfect. So you'll notice that the effect is fade in. Yeah, someone in Facebook who's watching said this looks like a slightly easier version of Blueprint, and that's what we mentioned before. Blueprint is for Unreal Engine, so that's pretty awesome. You also have, for your son who's interested in game development, Unity also has a node-based visual programming environment, but it's like an add-on. It's not as the base of it. Unreal Engine actually, like, you know, releases with a visual coding environment. It's not like an add-on, it's part of the original package. And that's why when people say, oh, visual coding is for babies, it's like, no, it's not about how many languages you can say hello world in that makes you a good programmer. It's a lot similar, I would say, to how I make kind of the analogy with writing. Like when we write a sentence, it doesn't mean that we wrote a novel. Like even though the process of writing a sentence, like sentence by sentence, is kind of the same. When you're working consistently on a project so that it becomes really big, like a novel, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh wow, you actually did something really cool. And I think that's kind of what coding is and should be for kids, is to make it into a really, you know, a really unique and personal and like project that they can actually take pride in, rather than, you know, just an exercise. Nobody likes exercises, regardless of you're trying to make a, you know, if you make a robot go to the right and then up and then you do that 3,000 times, it's not that fun anymore. So
yeah, but I could see kids getting excited about story writing, knowing that they can do this with the story.
Yeah, it's all about the scale, I think, how much time they put in and that they can feel a personal connection with. That's how I kind of feel.
And I can see even kids starting this in my classroom and then going home and continuing it. So yeah, I think this would get them excited.
Yeah, so great. So let's actually, yeah, so I was gonna say you see the effect is fade in, but you can also fade out. So you don't have to do show hide, show hide, show hide. You could just fade something out. In this case, we want to fade it in, which means it'll be hidden first and then it'll fade in. But there's other examples of when you might want to fade something out. For example, one thing I like to do is when you drag something over another object and you want something to happen, maybe you want the object you dragged over to disappear and then for something to happen. So you have different things that you can do with this function alone. So yeah, let's exit out and try it out and see if everything works okay.
Which one of these describes the Chromebook?
Great job.
And then I had it go to the next page.
Perfect. So yeah, that's kind of an overview of things. We coded a lot today. Usually I don't code that much with people who come in because we also talk about like kind of their classroom and what's going on with, you know, the situation on their end. We have, you know, some people who are going back face to face. Are you going full remote or face to face, or you don't know yet, or?
Right now it's hybrid, but so the kids are in two cohorts, A and B, and they come every other day. But the governor of New Jersey just announced at like 1 o'clock, which popped up on my desktop before, so sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
But that we now have the option of going all remote. So I'm not sure what our superintendent's going to decide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy time for everyone, so we just have to be flexible. But I think the real, you know, the real benefit of, you know, elementary right now is just like you said, kids can do it at home, so you can have them do projects at home, and ideally they would just make their own escape rooms. And I think if you keep it simple first, like just making it so that they can click on different things and then it goes to different pages and those pages will say something, that can be done at 3rd grade, no problem, I think. Because all you would do is just use a go to page block, like on click, go to page, and that's it. You don't have to deal with any animations. Some kids will add their voiceover because they figured it out and they can, and some kids will, you know, just do the very simplistic, I'm just going to, you know, when you click on the alligator, it's going to go to the page where the alligator eats you, for example. So that was actually a story on Elementary, so that's why I thought of that. It's really popular now. So you could think of them kind of like a choose your own adventure with a twist sort of thing. And I just want to share like some of the clues I made for one of the virtual escape rooms templates that I've done. So I'm gonna open up a Chrome tab, and I'll make sure to also link these in the video description. I do have videos on this template in particular already, but I'm gonna go to the story and kind of show you like the possibilities of using it for virtual escape rooms. Of course, this is maybe too much for your students because it would involve understanding variables, which is something that kids kind of struggle with. So you can kind of see there's already some. This one's a escape room with some puzzles, and this one is too. But these are made by teachers, I believe. This one's made by a kid. So this one's just really simple. It fades in. Is it gonna work for me? I might have too many tabs open. Oh, so you have different things fading in. You also have a sound, a background music, and then you can now make some choices. Do you want to light a match, cry for help, go back to sleep, turn on a lamp, waddle around? I want to waddle around. You stumble and fall. With a really sad background music now. I don't know if you can hear, but it's really sad. So then you could try again. And yep. And then you could say, I don't know, I want to cry for help. No one hears you. Try again.
Wow.
So in this case, this is just a very simple like exercise example. It doesn't really show any understanding or demonstrate any understanding of anything because this kid just did it for fun because he or she could. But the one I want to show you is this one. And this is one that I've made. You can remix any story. So what that means is you can click on this button and similar to Scratch, you copy it and you can change it up as you will. So you can see that I can't navigate. I made it so if the navigation is locked, I have to click on these buttons. So I click on these buttons and I have hook. So the hook in an escape room is kind of like your fun creative writing portion. So for your students, you can, get them to write a little bit. In this case, I have a variable. So I would say variable, it depends. I don't know if like how much your students have coding experience. I've seen it usually introduced at 4th grade level or 5th grade level. Is that kind of when your students are introduced to it?
I'd say, yeah, later in the 4th grade year.
Yeah, so like 4th grade level is pretty good. And generally when people are introduced to variables, it's through like a mathematical kind of context. So like it'll be like, oh, the robot travels X distance. Or, Ilsa needs to, travel this much distance in order to cross the bridge. Things like that. So I actually introduced variables using a text variable. So on Elementary, we have data types as well. You can have number, Boolean, and text. So text, I would say, okay, I'm going to call a variable called name, and I'm going to use this variable throughout the story. And the way that we actually show the variables in the template side is by using these curly brackets. They're called mustache, and that is a technical term. So you can tell your son that you used a mustache. So this just continues my hook, and the first puzzle we get to is pretty much kind of like the puzzle that we just did in your escape room, which is just the multiple choice kind of question. Depending upon my choice, I go to a different page. I also added a hint button, so when I click on the hint, it fades in a hint for them. And similarly, if I have a wrong answer, in my case, I go to a different page. That's the wrong answer page. And if it's the right answer, it goes to the right answer page. So then I can click next. And these examples, like I said, are geared more for older students, but you can kind of find a way to remix it to make it a little easier for them because it does deal with the concept of variables and conditionals. So if, else sort of statements. So in this case, you need to set the user's response to the answer is variable. But if I say like "Chololololo" is my answer, then it'll say it's wrong because it doesn't equal variable, which is the right answer. And this is kind of what I was explaining earlier prior to this live streaming is you can make it so you have, an interaction of when I drag something over, I have something up here, and when I click on it, it gives me an audio clue, actually. Well, you can't hear it because I muted.
Symbols in every room.
Okay, so you can click on it and then it'll play an audio clue, and then you can use that audio clue wherever. And the audio clue was basically saying there's hidden symbols in every room. And what I like to tell teachers is when we're creating escape rooms, they don't always have to be completely like, the clues don't always have to link directly to the content area or whatever you're trying to teach. You could just kind of for fun. And my third puzzle kind of reflects that because it says there's hidden symbols in every room. And if you notice carefully, I have a P hidden on this page. It's right here. And what I actually did was, if you go back to each of these pages, I have little letters hidden on all the pages. And if you find all the letters and then rearrange them, it becomes the code for the last puzzle. So that's just a very simple kind of like puzzle jigsaw sort of thing, and really gets kids to pay attention a little bit more. So yeah, I don't know if you have any last questions. I kind of took over this session. I usually try to give give people a chance to talk because my partner says I talk too much. So
I'm good. I really like that last one that you just showed, and I could see myself using that with my students. So
yeah,
that was a
great.
good one.
Yeah, so you can remix that one. I'll share it with you. It has a template also, so it tells you exactly kind of like what page kind of does what. And I also have some videos as well that kind of walk through. So if you have any other teachers that are interested in escape rooms, you can kind of forward that to them, especially if they're looking for a challenge for their students. I think this can be quite challenging for a lot of students who maybe graduated from code.org, or they're looking for a little bit more. And this can kind of be the next step forward. It doesn't really handhold you through, so they have to think a little bit more. But yeah, you have a lot of really great things made by fifth graders I've seen. They're like really impressive. You have some that are, it all depends upon the student, of course. You have students that love to code and they'll code ridiculous interactions. And then on the other hand, you have students who are more interested in the arts and writing. So they'll, pay a lot of attention to the aesthetics of their page. So it's really trying to get to both kind of groups. And with our last update, that kind of broke some things I need to fix. Actually David will need to fix, is the user uploads. So you will be able to upload your own images. So if you want to do like kind of a, I don't know, if you want to do a jigsaw sort of thing, or add like a fake receipt or things like that you find on other websites, and you want to take those images and put them into your escape room, you can do so. It is going to be a paid option simply because we want to keep elementary still public, but at the same time keep privacy still, like we want to make privacy like reasonable for everyone involved, because we do have a lot of kids online. So basically, if you're paid, we assume that you are an adult because you paid, or you're a teacher who, because as a teacher, you have to approve of all the stories published by students. So we assume that the teacher will, in some form will go through the stories over time. So for remote learning purposes, you can actually review the stories as the students are working on them. And this is for all plans. You can just read through and review. And for paid plans, you can give feedback on each page. So for English language arts teachers, they love that because they could be like, hey, you need to make sure to capitalize the first letter of your sentences.
Those English teachers.
Remember, you need to capitalize the first names and proper nouns, like things like that, so they can go for that.
And don't forget periods.
Oh yeah, don't forget periods. Don't make run-on sentences, all that stuff. So you can do all that stuff with the feedback. And for all plans, so free, paid, whatever, students can comment on each other's stories. Those are private to the classroom. So it's just to get kids engaged while still keeping it private. So
great.
I don't know if you have any questions at this time. So
I think I'm good. Thank you, Nicole. I really appreciate your time and showing me all the coding.
Yeah, it was great having you here. I love when people do escape rooms because I think it's something that a lot of teachers are interested in, but they don't really know how to get started, or they don't really know maybe a way to make it kind of fun. Because I mean, we see a lot of escape rooms that are Google Forms, and let's be honest, Google Forms aren't really like the funnest things around.
Right.
So yeah. So, and the big key point that I just want to have people take away is just you as the teacher can create the escape room, which is great. But the best thing is to have the students create, so you don't have to do it. And you can let them do it as a project, and they'll take over it and they'll do their thing. And you could just make sure to give them guidelines of what you want the escape room to be about, whether it's content related or whether it's coding related. Maybe if you're teaching coding, you might want to say, oh, I want you to sequence at least, 3 functions together, or things like that. Or I want to make sure you have a click event on every page. And if you're a content related teacher like English language arts, history, science, things like that, you can probably do things like, oh, I want you to do a book review and cover, the main points of the book that you were supposed to be reading, or like the water cycle. I want to see all I don't know, 4 or 5 stages of the water cycle. I mean, I bring up water cycle because we did have one teacher have her students create water cycle stories on elementary. So I think they were 4th grade, something like that. I don't know, whenever you learn water cycle.
3rd or 4th, depends on where you are, but
yeah. So then you had like the little water droplet named Wilbur, and he goes through the water cycle. So yeah, I am already over time, but yeah, if there's any last questions, I'm gonna just see if there's any questions in the chat. I think we're pretty good. So thank you so much for joining me. And if anybody wants to join me as a guest on It's Elementary, just contact me through social channels or my email. Anything going to elementary will go to me. So thank you so much, and have a great day.
thanks, Nicole, you too.